Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike Janda. I'm glad you're here. In this video, we're going to talk about tracking business data. This is the kind of bare bones stuff you need to be tracking in your creative business to understand what is happening. You got to understand the numbers. But before we dig in, check out the description down below. I got a couple of free courses, not a couple, a few free courses for you down there. And also check out my creative community, More Creative Academy, which is a community of creative entrepreneurs, all growing their business together. And I am the mentor, and you have daily access to me, and you have a live session every single week, group coaching and live lessons. Anyway, let's dig into the content today. We're gonna talk about business data. Do you know these numbers? I was shocked at my own stupidity in the early days of building my agency. I wasn't tracking any numbers. I was just waiting for the next project to come in, waiting for the next project and the next project and the next project. And by the end of the year, if I was profitable, then yay. And that's the situation that so many freelancers and agency owners are in. They're just cranking out, waiting for the next project, next project. It wasn't until I started tracking the data that I really started to understand my business. And in this video, I'm going to give you the bare bones data that you need to be tracking in your creative business. The first piece of data that you need to track is your annual revenue. And the numbers, you want to have this for every single year, but we're going to put in this little guide, what were your numbers 2 years ago, your annual revenue 2 years ago, your annual revenue last year, and your revenue this year to date. That's what you want to track, those three things. And I'm going to give you some examples of how we take these numbers and use them to analyze and understand our business. I'll show you that here in a second. The next piece of data that you want to track is your monthly revenue. How much did we invoice 2 months ago, last month, this month projected, next month projected, and 2 months from now projected? So we're looking forward on this data, trying to track our monthly revenue or how much we are invoicing every single month. The next one is our expenses. What were our expenses last month, this month, and in 2 months? That's what we want to look forward to. We're going to compare our annual or monthly revenue to our monthly expenses, and we're going to be able to understand a story in our business. I'll show you that here in just a second. Then we want to track our sales efforts. How many project opportunities did you have this month? How many of those project opportunities turned into official proposals? How many of those proposals did you win? What was the average price of the proposals you pitched? And what was the average price of the proposals you won? Those are the data points that you want to track. And let's go to the real magic of what happens when you start comparing those numbers. We're going to look at some spreadsheets. And let me get my screen ready here. We have this little example spreadsheet right here. Okay, on this example spreadsheet, I just took 2 of the data points and a profit and loss. And the 2 data points are what did we invoice, or our revenue per month, and our expenses per month. So across the top, we have January, February, March, 1 column for each month, and then we total it right here. And then we have the next year, 2025. So this is 2024 numbers. This is 2025 numbers. So let's say that it's at the end of 2025 when you're watching this video. What we can start to do when we track this data over time is we can start to see patterns in our business. Patterns in our business. So I have last year's data. Remember, in this video, it's January 2026 or December 2025. We have 2 full years worth of data. We're going to look for patterns. And what we see here in November and December of 2024, we have a monthly loss. We lost $1,000 here and $2,000 here. Now, you really don't care about those losses when they're offset by profits. So we have that right here. We can see that for the annual year, we had $10,000 of profit. So it was still a profitable year, even though we lost $3,000 at the very end of the year, November and December. We invoiced less than we cost, or our revenue was less than our expenses. Now, when 2025 comes around, we start to compare the data from 2025 to the data to 2024, and we can start to see some patterns. And one of those patterns that you can see here, by the way, this is all just fake data. I can't remember if I said that, but I just threw a spreadsheet together and gave you some fake data so we can look at how I did this at my agency. You have November and December of 2025. Here, we invoiced, or we had less revenue than we did expenses, and we lost money again in November and December. We can start to see a pattern. November and December had a financial loss here. November and December had a financial loss here. So I would start to say, why did that happen? Let's look at our revenue numbers. We have $8,000 of revenue in November of 2025 against, look, 12,000, 26,000, 12,000, 12,000, 8,000, 6,000. Wow, we had a drop in revenue right here. We're starting to see a pattern in our business. Now we can look at this and say, did that same thing happen here? 9,000 and 8,000 invoiced there against 13,000 in October. So October is pretty solid. We had a little bit of a slow summer right here. We want to see if that pattern reemerges because we didn't see that pattern happen again in 2025, but we're going to watch for it in 2026. And here we got money loss in November and December, and money loss in November and December, and a drop in revenue from October 2025 to November 2025. We saw a drop in October 2024 to November 2024. So we have that drop. Now, when we go into 2026, we start to anticipate those same patterns. We can look at it and say, okay, the last 2 years, we had higher expenses than revenue in November and December. I don't want that to happen again this year. So what can I do to reduce my costs for November and December of 2026? So you can start to plan your business. Or better yet, or maybe both, you look at 2026 and you get to September or October and you say, I do not want to have my money loss in November and December. How can I improve my sales in September and October to hedge against the reduction in revenue that I've seen the last 2 years in November and December? This is where the stories come from. And you cannot understand the story of your business if you're not tracking the data in your business. You got to track this stuff. That's what tells you the story. Now, tracking and analyzing the data is critical to your business. If you're not tracking your business data, open a spreadsheet right now and get started. And let me show you a couple of spreadsheets just as examples. This is my agency spreadsheet of my extreme data that I tracked. And I'm just going to whip through this and not hover on anything too long because it's all kind of confidential data. But this is my data from my agency. I tracked this every single month for every year of my agency. I have it 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29, 2010, 2011. So I've got the data from all the years of my business. Now, I only have back to 2025 because that's when I started tracking data. I actually started in 2002 and didn't track any of this stuff until we got to 2005. So I have that data from my entire agency run after I started to understand this principle. I also have an example here And this is all fake data in here too. This is a little spreadsheet that I made for my community, More Creative Academy. And I'll just give you this as an example. You can screenshot this and make this for yourself. But here we have our sales efforts. How much effort are we putting into sales? Our opportunities, leads received, proposals submitted, proposals won, etc. Our pipeline, how many active proposals we have, and what have we won, and what's our win rate. Our financial information, revenue versus expenses, what I just showed you in that other spreadsheet, our bank balances, our account receivables, and then a cash flow projection here. And then some production, how many active projects do we have and how many projects did we complete? So that's what's in this spreadsheet right here. I'm giving you these just as examples for this video so that you can see what it looks like to track business data. And you can get super obsessive on this stuff. I admit, this was obsessive. This is so much data. My poor office manager, and both my office managers over my agency run loved me, and I loved them, and they tracked this data for me, and it was great, but it was a lot of data to track on a monthly basis. We had a little offshoot spreadsheets that had data points in them that would get aggregated into this spreadsheet here. Anyway, track your freaking business data. This is what the difference is between being a freelancer who's just kind of going willy-nilly, trying to grind out your business, and a business person that is systematically, intentionally trying to grow and scale your business, or at least succeed to the maximum in your solo business. You got to start tracking the business data. I go way more into detail on this in my courses, my course, the Ultimate Freelance course. You can check that out, or check out More Creative Academy. I give a lot of spreadsheets and things like this away and teach my crew there on how to track their business data. And we analyze data sometimes too. All right. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it kind of opens your eyes to the data points you should be tracking in your business. Get started now. Bust out the spreadsheet and start tracking your business data. Thanks so much. We'll see you again in another video sometime in the future.